Welcome back to the Wiccan Forum. We were just talking about how New Jersey just passed, the New Jersey State Board of Education approves the pagan Wiccan holidays for the 2010-2011 school year for all the children. We now go over each of the 8 different Sabbaths, so that way the general public has an idea of what they are. First, we're going to feel free to jump in. Yule.
Yule is an official holiday. It's the longest night of the year. It's the end of winter when the year is at its longest. It's equivalent to the Christian version of Christmas. It was actually the first ritual that I have ever run.
The next one is Ostara.
No, the next one is Imbolc.
I'm just saying my version. Go ahead. Go ahead, take them both then. Imbolc and Ostara.
Imbolc is when the winter starts to die out and we start preparing for the oncoming spring. That's when we have spring cleansing, candle mass where we light candles, the sun begins to awaken, and
Festival of Bridget.
Festival of Lights, candle mass.
In Mexico, they call it the Day of Candelaria, where they light the candles.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going to Ostara.
Which would be our version of Easter, which was this past weekend.
Today.
Was it today?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I thought it was Saturday.
My bad.
That's okay.
It was actually yesterday.
Okay, it was
Okay.
yesterday.
The
My
21st.
Beltane. Was that next in line?
Yes, after
Okay.
Ostara, yes, is Beltane.
Well, Beltane is the union of the god and the goddess. It's when they perform the great rite.
It's also a fire festival. Beltane.
Beltane fires.
Yes. Yes.
And what's next?
Litha.
Okay, what's that?
Well, one of them take it.
Go ahead.
Litha is the midsummer, the summer solstice. It's midsummer. It occurs in June. I know it looks funny because the summer just begins, but that is the time of the year when the sun turns its tides and we start getting the darkness again, but we don't realize it.
It's also the
Because
longest
it's still
day
a
of the
long,
year.
it's still a long day. It's just when we start losing the hours, as you've said.
And then Lammas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, Lammas is the first of the harvest,
that's right. That's right.
Of the
This is
grains.
and that
the
occurs in
grains and the
August.
corn. Yes. It's also our first harvest festival of the 3 harvest festivals of the year.
And then Mabon.
Yes, the second harvest festival, harvest of the meats.
No, that's the
Fruits.
harvest of the
I'm
fruits
sorry,
and the
okay,
wines.
The harvest of the
And
fruits and
it's
the
our version of Thanksgiving because you have to send thanks to everybody.
And Mabon occurs in September. Our next Sabbath would be Samhain. That is called Halloween by most people, but we call it Samhain, and that is October 31st.
It's also our Wiccan New Year, by the way. Something you didn't know. Wiccans end their year on October 31st.
It is also the night of the year, one of the nights of the year, where the veils between the worlds are the
Right.
thinnest.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually speak to the dead. In October, you also have a night where you have something called a dumb supper, which is a 7-course meal.
What do you call me, dumb?
No, it's not. It's called a dumb supper because you're in silence for the whole 7 courses.
No B on the end of that.
And you actually have a table. The table actually has a setting with a chair for the dead, so everyone can call in one of their ancestors, and they're welcome to join us in the feast.
I also believe that I believe that the Veil of the Year also lasts until November 1st.
Mhm.
I think.
Well, that's also November 1st is when the Mexicans have their Day of the Dead, which is
Right.
also when they leave out the treats and all that kind of
And
stuff.
they visit the
have-
cemeteries. Yes,
Exactly.
you're right.
They have their own food festival.
I believe November 6th or 7th. I think it's November 6th is the only other day besides October 30th and October 31st is when you can do the dumb supper. And you basically have to say, like, if the seating was here, if the spirits were sitting here, you'd have to go from youngest to oldest on the table, and everything has to be in black. 7-course meal in complete silence, and it's a very
spiritual
Yeah.
experience.
We've
See,
all been to 2 of them.
Now, going back to the school districts approving the holidays, there's something I would like to see is the teachers in class actually explaining maybe around the time of the holiday what the holidays actually mean. Because everybody knows what Christmas means, the typical school holidays that children get off right now, everybody knows what they mean. But being that these are new holidays that the children are going to be getting off that they're not used to, instead of just saying, here, have a day off, I would like to see that they actually explain what they mean.
That would be great. In a perfect world, that would be great.
That would be great, but that would also entail the teacher taking time to look up the holidays and find out what they mean and what they entail. And I think probably
But
80%
I'm sure there's a lot of
wouldn't.
Wiccans around, and they would be honored to go into the classes. But what I was just about to say to him is that I don't know what any of the Jewish holidays mean, and I had them all off for public
Yeah, they
schools.
never explained
They
those
never
to us.
explained any of those.
See, I went to public
Sure.
school also, and I didn't have any of those Jewish holidays off. I didn't have any, aside from the regular federal holidays that were given off. My school was never closed.
Yeah.
We weren't closed for
Well, I
Ash
came from a
Wednesday.
Jewish town, predominantly Jewish, so of course we're gonna have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur off.
And Passover, which is coming up.
Sorry.
Which is tomorrow.
Is it?
I'm sorry, it's next Tuesday. My apologies.
Yes, it's next
The 30th.
Tuesday. Yes. Yes, I think the public schools at least should give a little history on each holiday in any religion. At least the public schools should be able to do that. Maybe not private schools.
I think there are probably quite a few Wiccan teachers out there. They're just hiding in the broom closet.
But are they really going to out themselves?
Well, if they were going to explain to their students, they wouldn't necessarily
now
have
that-
to out
but
themselves.
now that this,
They could just explain that this is what the holiday means.
But now that the Board of Education has approved it, maybe more teachers that are Wiccan will out themselves and say, listen, I am Wiccan, here's what all these 8 are about, and maybe then we'll get some.
Well, you're right,
clarity.
but I mean, there shouldn't be a reason for anybody to be afraid to out themselves. Wicca is an officially recognized religion, and I know that some people are still skeptical about it, but hopefully by this approval happening, maybe it'll shed the light, so to speak, on the subject and brighten people's views and opinions of it a little bit.
But that would happen in a perfect world. But you know what? I know a girl who got fired from her job because she was Wiccan.
Well, you're absolutely right. I
So
mean, there is
people
prejudice
are
out
afraid
there.
of the unknown, and this is one of the only other things that are unknown.
You're right, but I personally feel that it should be, if the school district is going to approve
You're
new
absolutely right.
holidays, then they should take on the responsibility to at least say, these are new holidays that you're getting off, this is what it means. This is why you're getting these days off.
And this is what we'll have to look for in the future concerning as September approaches, if they give out pamphlets.
But do you realize why Wicca is an unknown religion? Because we've always cloaked ourselves in secrecy and silence since the Dark Ages, since the Burning Times, back in the 1600s and whatnot. So we've kept it a mystery religion.
Well, that's
It's
true.
up to us to help shed the light and spread it out there.
That is true, but I don't think it would have happened if witches were persecuted for being and burned at the stake simply for practicing their religion.
Or
If
for
that
being
didn't happen-
different, you're right.
Exactly. If that had never happened, then there wouldn't be a veil
You're
of
right, that's why we
secrecy
cloaked
and-
ourselves in the veil of
Exactly,
silence.
because
But
we had to worry about being put to death for it.
Well, I think it'll all work out in the end, and I think we're taking good steps. Like the first step a couple of years ago was the serviceman, I forgot their name, was allowed to have the pentacle on their tombstone. I think it was Arlington National Cemetery or something. So servicemen and women are now allowed to have the pentacle on their tombstone.
Didn't
which
that
is-
start happening in the 70s?
No, this was their first one. I
Okay.
believe in 1980 or 1990-ish something. A woman was allowed to lead the tour to celebrate a Sabbath.
Okay.
But I think it was the first one. If you go to the calendar, the almanac,
Yes.
you'll be able to look up the date. So,
Okay.
but I want to thank you both for stopping by for these 2 parts.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Hopefully
that.
we'll see you in the next couple of weeks. You are always welcome to come by and stop by. Steve, we're always here.
we're always here, yes.
Stay tuned for part 3 as we go over our beautiful Ostar altar. See you soon.